All right, so we're live. This is Angelica, Lacey, and Jamie meeting, and I'm sharing my speech with them. And we just opened with a prayer, and we're just going to jump right to the speech. So here we go. All right, so imagine with me. There's a young girl, age 13. Let's call her Abigail or Abby. She's walking home from band practice after school. It's important that you know that this girl has a heart of gold. She's always looking for opportunities to serve and to help those around her. However, she's feeling a little bit burdened by the financial insecurities her family is facing. With the financial insecurities brings stress and emotional insecurities. She's stressed, but her optimistic spirit allows her to appreciate the small things. As she's walking home from band practice, like I mentioned, she feels the soft autumn breeze. She smells baked bread in the distance. She walks past the old library. She walks past the public park, and there's kids laughing on the swings, and she's just content. She's at peace. As she's walking down the sidewalk, she sees a man coming the other way towards her, so they'll pass each other. He looks about 20 years old, and as they walk past each other, he compliments her on her style, and she's, kind of flattered. He's very attractive, but she doesn't think much of it. She engages in a short conversation with him, 3 or 4 minutes, and they part ways. He mentions it's his new route to work, so they may bump into each other again. And that they do. Over the next few weeks, they become well acquainted. And this man becomes a confidant and a trusted friend in this time of stress. Subtly, the young man begins to manipulate and isolate this damsel in distress, gaining control. He promises her a job and expresses his desire to help her with her financial worries. And just like that, Abigail becomes victim to sex trafficking. She spends the next several years controlled by her puppeteer. Her hopes and dreams for high school, for the future, are stripped and replaced by darkness, isolation, and really just a loss of identity. According to sharedhope.org, sex trafficking occurs when someone uses force, fraud, or coercion to cause a commercial sex act with an adult or causes a minor to commit a commercial sex act. Similar to Abby's final snare, quote, more than 60% women and more than half of trafficked men were lured by traffickers by a promise of a job. And again, 13-year-old Abby also was in a target age group. Quote, the reality is that in the United States, the average age of entry into prostitution is between 12 and 14 years old. And in some parts of the world, it can be as young as 3 to 5 years old. So you may be thinking, this is a tragic story, obviously, but how does this, affect me? Why does this matter to me? Quote, according to the 2005 ILO Global Report on Forced Labor, there are at least 12.3 million people in forced labor at any point in time, among which trafficking victims are about 2.45 million people. No one is immune from this spreading epidemic. Emmy Myers, a victim, survivor, and advocate, wants people to know that sex trafficking can happen to anyone, and that the people buying women and girls can come from every income level and from every community. The Trafficking Victims Protection Act of 2000 is a comprehensive federal law that helps protect, prevent, and prosecute those affected by trafficking. At the beginning of the document, it states the intention in the act is to combat trafficking in persons, especially into the sex trade, slavery, and involuntary servitude, to reauthorize certain federal programs to prevent violence against women and for other purposes. This law is focused on individuals while also encouraging healthy and functional family relations. So as we can see, we have advocates like Emmy Myers and the government working to protect and prevent these things. But as members of our homes, communities, and society, we have opportunities to make a difference as well. So I'll just suggest 3 things that we can do to help make a difference. The number 1 is to stay informed. Better understand the reality, signs, and danger of sex trafficking. Number 2, talk about it. With knowledge comes prevention. And number 3, report immediately. If you or someone you know falls victim to sex trafficking, report it. For urgent concerns, you can call 911, and you can also contact the National Human Trafficking Resource Center. So, in conclusion, my hope is that you and I remember Abigail's story and recognize that it is not far-fetched or unusual. This scenario happens time and time again all around us. May we each raise our voices and fight against this modern-day slavery that plagues our society. The end.
Good job. That was great.
Thanks.
Good job. That's such a hard topic. Oh man, good job though. Let's see. I guess a question that I have is you kind of mentioned Abigail, like when she kind of knew and became familiar with that guy. Would you say that like a lot of the times the trafficking happens from someone that they feel like they know, or is it done by like a random person?
So like in this
That makes
situation with
sense.
Abby, that would be a random person, right? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, I am. But like didn't like she was kind of acquainted with him a lot. Is it a lot of the time, does it come from someone that the child feels like they can trust, or is it always just like kind of random, like abduction and just random?
Yeah. I don't have statistics to back it up, but I would say that more often than not, it's with people that they're acquainted with. I think it just seems like the captors are very aware of different ways to manipulate and to nonchalantly, just rule people in. And it seems like oftentimes it's, done just on the street, but it doesn't, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it happens abruptly. And I think, we see the dramatic stories like Taken or whatever, where they are just pulled right in. But I think more often than not, it's, even by family, friends or whatever, that just gain trust and slowly manipulate, but have, bad intentions all along. So.
Are there like things online that people get lured into? Is there different ways, like chat rooms or whatever, that kind of a thing that is a problem, or is it mostly like face-to-face contact that
oh, absolutely. I think especially since technology is so prominent these days, I think it's increased sex trafficking a great deal because dating websites or damsels in distress online that feel that there's this safety net to express emotion, and then those are targets for captors or whatever to go to so that they can lure people in and save the day or whatever. And then I think that's when you confide in someone, you feel emotionally involved with someone, so you meet them and you're willing to meet them because you trust them. So yes, I think absolutely online interactions or whatever play a great deal into it.
What do you think would be a way to educate these girls that are that age who I can just imagine them being like, this would never happen to me. Like, how can we make it real to them? What ways have you learned or found that education works with them, or what can we do?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think so often we think, well, yeah, this would never happen. And, young girls were like, no, we're strong, independent, nothing's. But I think, like I said, I think with knowledge comes prevention. I think oftentimes girls are just lured in really not knowing at all. And I think it's just really important to talk about it. I think maybe even in a curriculum, like in a health class curriculum or something, I think if we just talk about the dangers and the prominence of sex trafficking, then girls can be aware of, that attractive man on the street that seems harmless, but then, step back and consider that there may be more, and to be cautious in the actions that they take. So I think, again, like I mentioned, just talk about it, maybe, put it into a curriculum somewhere. And I think as we educate parents as well, they can, talk to their kids about it.
Those are all my questions. It's hard to try to come up with some, so.
Yeah. Any other questions, Lacey? Let me see where we're at.
No, I think you did awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's at 9 minutes. I think that's probably good timing with the questions and the speech. So,
Perfect.
We'll stop.